So it started because I started getting a lot of those color wheel personality profiles on my For You page, and I was also working on an Airbnb project and designing it. And I started thinking, why doesn't something like that, like a personality profile, exist for interior design? Some things kind of do exist, but the thing is they're not really that good. Or at least I haven't found ones that are good. I decided to look at pictures of different interior design styles and see if I could figure out things that were measurable in the pictures. Turns out there are things that you can measure in pictures, and the first is color contrast. I think because I'm not an interior designer, I was able to think in a different way than maybe a traditional interior designer would come to looking at the pictures. Because obviously one of the first things you look at is color, because it's super important, and the different colors you put in a space really reflect a person's personality. However, if you only focus on color, it makes things way too complicated, and it doesn't actually accurately define the style that's in a room. So you have to think of it as like a black and white or grayscale coloring book that you put color on after you know what the style is. But you can measure color contrast because different personalities are attracted to different types of color contrast. So it's the contrast between the lightest and the darkest shades in each picture. And the second thing that you can measure is the amount of textural movement that's in the space. So this might look like a lot of stuff like you would see in a maximal space, but it also can be like a lot of texture in the wallpaper and in the curtains and in the lighting. Just a lot of, the best thing I can think of is movement, but it's not actually moving. And the last category are the types of shapes that you see in the room and the different lines that those shapes express. That one's a lot more hard to explain very simply, but it makes a ton of sense once you see it, and then you can't unsee it. My 18-year-old son is helping me create a book that explains all of this, and he could care less about interior design, but now he goes around pointing at a bunch of different interior design styles because we've been able to categorize different styles into these different types, and it makes it really easy to categorize things. It would be super helpful if you have clients who have a problem expressing what their interior design style. I have a test. You can go take it. It's in my link in my bio. They can take the test and then you know what their style is instead of like having to like narrow it down by asking them questions. Like most people don't have any idea what they're talking about. But if they can take a test and then you immediately know their 3 preferences, then you can immediately know what kind of style they see it as a really helpful way to be able to take 2 people who have completely different styles and take elements of each preference, like whatever's your most important thing. Like if you just can't stand to have bold contrast of colors and you need it all to be very subdued, then maybe that person, that's the profile that they get to be dominant in the space, where the other person may like the shapes of the furniture to be different or the texture to be different. So it gives you tools to be able to combine 2 different people's different design aesthetics into one space. And also, I do know that really good interior designers totally don't fall into this profile in this guide, but it's really not for people who have excellent interior design skills, but people who have no idea what they're doing or where they're coming from. It just like gives them a good base to start off of. There's a lot of videos on my page already about it, so you can get some more visual ideas of it, but yeah, that's my idea.